I'm Indu Sharma. I'm currently in 79, going to be 80 in November. And I come from India, north part of India. Most of the time I spent in Punjab, in India. And then later on, my family moved to Delhi. So that's where I also spent a lot of time in Delhi.
What was the place you were born? What's it called?
Pathankot.
Okay, so tell us about life growing up. What was it like? What was your family life like?
My family life was very disciplined, very pleasant, but very disciplined. So there were certain rules that had to be followed in the family. And one of the rules was that children will not play in the street. So I was not allowed to play in the street with other children. And because my grandfather used to be a press reporter, and he used to get all sorts of bad news as well as good news, so he was extra careful about children being safe. And therefore, his rule was that I will not play in the street and I will be educated at home until certain age. And that's what happened. So I used to feel, we lived in a very nice, very big house in north of India in a place called Rishikesh, which is in the foothills of Himalayas. Ganges roll in from the Himalayas, and it's just beautiful sight because you go in the morning and you see the sun rising, turning from pink to golden, and all those colors showing in the water, cascading down. Absolutely beautiful. Still stays in my mind so fresh, like it was happening this morning. So my childhood was very protected, but very beautiful, very peaceful. Our family was very get on with everyone. Very fortunate also because they were very progressive, and they wanted to have women and girls equal place in society, as equal as possible with the boys. And therefore, their dream was for me to study and do well. And I'm told by my mom that when I was born, my grandfather decided to distribute sweets in the neighborhood. And neighbors thought that, oh, he must have had a grandson. And they were really shocked to find out that it was a granddaughter. And they said, well, why are you distributing sweet for your granddaughter? And he said, what's the difference? She's my grandchild. She's just as well, beautiful, and able as any other boy. So I'm going to celebrate her birth. And that view cascaded through the family. So my father was the same, my mother was the same, my grandmother was the same. So therefore I had a very, very pleasant, very disciplined but pleasant childhood growing up.
Love that. Okay, fantastic. Just tell us a little bit about your dad, because your dad was in the army.
Yeah. I was born in a place called Pathankot, which is now on the borders of Pakistan and India. My dad was in the British Indian Army, and he was posted in that town. So that's where I was born, and I spent my first couple of years there before we moved to Rishikesh. And then after that, we moved to Dehradun. So I was fortunate enough to go to Doon School, Doon Public School. And education was very important in our household. And I was, helped or encouraged to study and be good at it, be the first. I have to say that until I was in college, which was the age of 16, I was following my parents' and my grandparents' dream. I was encouraged by them. So I didn't have any dream of my own as such at that point. I used to think, I'm going to do well, whatever I do, for my father, for my mother, for my grandfather, for my grandmother, for my family. And they used to often say that you will shine our name going further. And that encouraged me to have their dream as my dream. So when I went to college, then I started to think about what would I like to do growing up. And in those days, I was very interested in music, in dance, very interested in travel, and also interested in going to university and having my own job and independence. And therefore, I decided to be part of college groups, of different drama groups, dance groups, debating group, and things like that. So I was participating in those. But going forward, in those days, in India anyway, the decent jobs for girls were always in teaching. Either be a doctor, nurse, or be a teacher. And so I was going towards teaching. And I knew I would want to go to university, which my father encouraged me to do. So I did go to Chandigarh University, very nice university. Again, very near the Punjab border. So I spent a lot of time in Punjab actually growing up. So I do understand the Punjabi culture and all the music and dance and very vibrant culture of Punjab, which I still miss and very fond of.
Very beautiful culture, maybe one of the best in the world.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I was teaching in college, which was again a border town in Punjab, Firozpur. And I used to teach politics. And I was visiting home in Delhi in my summer holidays, and my colleague was also visiting her sister during summer holiday. So I knew she was there. She rang me up one day and she said, "Oh, Indu, there is a very nice movie on, Hum Dono, and would you like to come?" So I said to my dad, "Would you let me go?" Because even though I was grown up and working, I still had to ask my dad, am I allowed to go? And he to my surprise, he said yes, because it was a late show, 9 o'clock show, which would not finish until midnight. So I thought, that's really great. So I took a taxi, went to my friend's place. And then he said to me when I was leaving, "Oh, it's going to be quite late when the film finishes. So if you can stay there, stay there. It will be safer to stay there." I said, "Okay, fine." So I was at that time 24. Going on to 24, actually, 23. So I went to the movies. Movie was very nice, and then I stayed with my friend's sister. She was staying with her sister. In the morning, we all had breakfast together. So breakfast table was set, and we all sitting there. And this gentleman walks in, very well dressed, quite good looking. So I had a look at him, and then I thought, well, maybe one of their guests they have invited or something. And then he also sat down, had a breakfast, and we started to talk and debate about things. And he said something about politics in India. And I was teaching politics, so I knew my stuff. So he said something which was not right, or correct. So I said, no, this is not right. And this is what happened. And he was quite taken aback by this. Anyway, breakfast finished. I came back home. He went back wherever he was. And he said to his sister, "I have found the girl I'm looking for. So would you get in touch with her parents to tell them?" And So his sister rang my mom up and said, my brother, who is from London now, he lives in London, he's here to get married, and he met your daughter, and he wants to marry her. And my mom said, huh? What happened? So she asked me, what happened? And I said, nothing happened. Yeah, there was this young gentleman, quite good-looking gentleman, quite civilized, and we had a chat. So she said, yeah, he wants to marry you. And she was overjoyed because, of course, coming from London, my daughter will be going to London. And she was very excited. She said, okay, so what do you think we should do? And I said, well, I'm not going to get married to anyone who says he wants to marry me. I have to be happy to marry him. That's how I was brought up. So Mama said, okay. So she had a chat with my dad, and of course they said, if you want to meet him, then take your brother with you, go for a coffee or whatever. So they won't let you go alone in those days. Girls will not go out alone with a boy. So my brother came with me. We went for a coffee in Connaught Place, and he was very charming. Very charming indeed, very well dressed, very well spoken, and had a good sense of humor, and he had interest in music. He used to actually sing. So all those things were absolutely right. But the other thing was that would I have to leave my parents behind if I get married to him? And in those days, air travel was not that, frequent, and it was very expensive as well. And although I wanted to come abroad, but I wanted to come abroad to study. I wanted to do PhD in Norway. Actually, I had got offer from Norwegian University to do PhD there. So I thought, what's going to happen to my PhD? This is all changing. My head was spinning. So anyway, I liked him. He was a very likable chap. So then he said to me, would you want to come out again with me? And I said, I have to think about it. So I came back home. My mom was very excited, more excited than I was. How did it go? And my brother Ashok said, yeah, he's a very nice person. Go for it. And I said, it's not that easy. So anyway, but I did agree to go out with him again. And we went out to cinema. We went out for a day out in gardens, Buddha gardens in Delhi, quite large gardens, and it was all very nice. He was very, 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 very civilized, very well behaved, and very good humored. And so I liked all that in him. And during the chat, he also told me that he has no problem with women working or having independence or have their own place in society. He supports all that. So that was another thing that was worrying me. So that was all that. So all the boxes were ticking, but the only thing was that I'm going to have to leave my parents behind and not see them for years and years. So in the end, my mom put my mind to rest. She said, look, every person has their own fate and their own life, and you always wanted to go abroad to study. Now you have a chance and you can study as well as, but it will be nice if you get married and then go. It would be worry of our mind. So then I agreed and we got married. When I first came, I landed at Heathrow, and it was night time, and it was all very bright, all very clean. So I thought, wow, this is a nice place. I had my son, who was 5 months older than the first son, and my husband was waiting there with his friend with the car. So he picked us up, and his friend took me home first. He said, meet my wife first, as you are here. So he was married to an English girl, and very nice person. So she had made a cup of tea and some tea cakes, so I had those before we went back home. And my husband had actually rented a ground floor of a house in Finchley, East Finchley. I still remember the name, Huntington Road. And he had already bought a buggy for our baby. But next morning he was going to work early in the morning, so he said, I'll be going to work, and here is a £5 note, so you can go and do shopping for her, whatever you want to buy for food, and take baby out for walk and all that. So I did that. So that was my beginning. I have to say I didn't like it, because in those days, especially, I was vegetarian. I always have been a vegetarian, and I didn't even eat eggs. I could eat eggs if I was forced to, if I was going very hungry, but I didn't like it. And everywhere we went to eat out, it was always meat. The only thing they would serve in restaurant would be a salad, but even salad was not very inspiring or interesting. It was just some salad leaves with some tomato and cucumber, and that's it. No salad dressing, no nothing. So no, I was not keen on English food. Well, my husband used to work for a company called Monsanto, an American company, and that company decided to move to Swindon. Swindon in the 70s was the fastest growing town in Europe, and so lots of businesses were being attracted here. So Monsanto was coming, and we were having difficulty in London finding a place to live because we had 2 babies, and no one wanted to give you a place with 2 babies. So it was a heartache, and so he said, well, Monsanto are also helping people to either rent a place or buy a place if you move there. So I said, wow, that's good. So I was prepared to take a chance and move. But first we came to Swindon. The train from London, Paddington to Swindon was fine. And when we arrived here, Chandra said to me, that's my husband, said to me, oh, Swindon, we are at Swindon, let's go get babies together. And I said, what? This is not Swindon. This is not the fastest growing town in London, Swindon. And it just was like a village. It was not inspiring at all. The station looked like a village. One track, some muddy platform, there was little sign saying Swindon. Walking from there outside was not very inspiring either. No, nothing, no coffee, no tea shop, no nothing at all. So I said to Chandra, where are we going? But then there was Monsanto. Monsanto had actually arranged a bus for us to pick us and take us to the hotel, so that was okay. And then we went around, but it was not a very inspiring town, I have to say. Well, in the beginning, it was, my priority was to get a job, because we were going to buy a house, and we needed to save money. And so I had already applied to post office in London before I came, so they sent me a letter saying that we are moving to Swindon. Would you like to come and work for us? So that was like a music to my ears. So, and they also moved to Dorking, where my husband's company was. So that was really good. But we had 2 babies, so what to do with them? One was 3, and the other one was 1.5 years. So the 3-year-old could go to nursery, and I used to take him to nursery, and the younger one had to go to a baby minder, which was not a very good experience for him. However, it had to be done, and so this is how it happened. And we waited in a council house until the house was built, and then we moved in there. In 1973, I remember, we moved in there.
Remember how much the house was?
Yeah, it was only £20,000. That's it. But even that was quite hard, because we had to save. We had to save quite a bit. The rules about mortgage were quite strict then. You had to have certain amount of savings before you could get mortgage. And you could only get 3 times the income. Now it's much easier to buy a house, but in those days it was difficult. I didn't directly face racism, but people did ask me questions like, why do you wear toe rings? Because married women in India, in our part of India, used to wear toe rings when they were married instead of ring. So I just used to say to them, well, do you wear a wedding ring? You wear it on hand and I wear it on toes. That's all. That's the only difference. So I was very, I didn't take their questions as being negative. I took their questions being inquiry, inquisitiveness about somebody being different in this country who they haven't seen before. So I took it in that sense. So therefore I didn't feel like I was, if you feel you are being racistly used, you are being used racistly, then it's a different matter. But yeah, I was curious. I was a bit perturbed at times, the direct questions. But I said, well, they don't know, so they have to know. So that's the way I took it. Yeah, when we first moved to Swindon, we were given a house in Bolymead, a council house, because our house was not ready to move in yet. And so this neighbor of ours, who later on we found out was from Manchester, he was also waiting for his house to be built, and he was living next door to us. So one day, I hadn't been out of the house at all with my two little ones and trying to sort the house out. So he hadn't seen me. But he got some post of ours delivered to his house. So one morning he decided to come and give me the post. So he knocked at the door in the morning. Must have been about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. So I was still in my gown. And I opened the door. And he went like this. There is this letters for you, Sharma. There are letters for Sharma delivered to us. You are Sharma, aren't you? So I said, yes. So here you go, letters for you. I was a bit amused, so I said, thank you very much. And he just looked at my face and went, you speak English? I said, yes, I do. And then we became friends. Well, the thing was that I didn't ever think about English or Indian, I have to say. People were people. So I was quite direct, I was quite straightforward. If I wanted to ask a route to somewhere or some places, some question, I would just go, excuse me, would you tell me where? And they would just look at me with surprise, and then they would calm down and give me the answer. So that's how it got. So I did feel that they were being a little bit different to me. They were behaving a bit different to me than other white people. But I thought, well, that's probably normal, because a lot of people just, behave like that towards strangers. They don't take to them, all of us, in a friendly way. So, yeah, for me personally, I did not feel sad or angry or upset or any of those things, because I just thought this is normal human behavior, possibly, for people who have not seen anybody from outside of Swindon, let alone from abroad.
Yeah, and you broke down the barriers, and you started becoming friends with these people?
Yes, there were lots of people who moved in with Monsanto and who also bought houses in the neighborhood. So we all become like a community, because we all came from different places. We didn't have anybody in Swindon. So we all became friends for each other. We looked after each other's babies. Our babies played with each other in the, when they were growing up, 3-4-year-old, going around in their little cars or, playing football or whatever. Yeah, we were quite integrated in that part of Swindon where we used to live. They were all new people from London, Manchester, Birmingham or whatever. So we were all on the same boat. And I think that made us feel, or made me feel, quite integrated, because there was nobody was saying anything different. Well, I'm a Hindu, and I do have regular prayers, which is part of our family life, which are continued. So the other thing is that in our family anyway, they were not very rigid about how prayers have to be done. It was even if you are going somewhere, you can still recite poem in your head, your prayers in your head. And so that helped a lot. So I do follow my Hindu religion, and I do believe that it's the most cosmopolitan religion there is, because it believes in nature, not in any particular individual. And therefore, I can do prayers anywhere I like. I like all religious places. I like gurdwaras, and I like mosques, and I like temples, and I like churches, and I can equally pray in all those places, no problem. I feel quite part of British society, British culture. However, one never forgets where one comes from. I'm still an Indian because my education, my upbringing is from there. But because I was educated and I was sort of nurtured in that way, where people matter. It's not about religion, it's about people. As long as we are kind to human beings, regardless of what race, culture, religion, it doesn't matter. And we together, all humankind has to be together to help each other out. And that is the main thinking. Okay, the things that I have learned in my life are that one has to be prepared for change. Change can happen any time in life. And either we can take that change with tears in our eyes or a smile on our face. Each change is an opportunity for us to learn, to move forward, to progress. Change is a way of life, and therefore we have to accept changes smilingly, happily. If we do that, then life becomes easier, and that has an effect on your family as well, and then they become easier as well. It becomes easier for them to integrate. So I was never into secluding myself from anything. I remember first time I was in my own home in Swindon, I celebrated Christmas in December, and all of my friends went, you're going to celebrate Christmas? I said, yes, I like it. What's wrong with it? You have nice tree with candles on it or lights on it, and you have nice food, and you have people coming and relatives visiting you, and you have a happy time together. What's wrong with it? And they would go, but it's not our religion. I said, it's not. Religion doesn't say don't do this and don't do that. You do all the nice things. That's what religion says. All religions say the same thing. Be happy, help each other out, be forgiving, and enjoy life. It doesn't say don't do this, don't do that, unless it is harmful. Yeah, don't harm anyone. Don't make anybody unhappy as much as you can. Be helpful. But other than that, everything is fun. Celebrate together. Why not? Okay, because I followed the Hindu culture, and I did prayers, and I celebrated Diwali, and I celebrated Rakhi and Tikka and all those different festivals. I invited my friends too, and they came, which were English friends, many of them. And so my children automatically learned. It wasn't a lecture to them. It was through action. So they learned about all the festivals that we have in India, and they learned about doing prayers, and both my children are very much into doing prayers. We celebrate Diwali together always as a family. We celebrate Christmas together always as a family, and birthdays together always. So they have just learned by observing and by being part of it. So I didn't lecture them. And that they're very independent individuals now, and I'm very proud of them because they are doing so well, both of them. doing very, very well indeed. One is a musician and writer, married to a writer, and they just wrote a film which was on Prime Video, which was #1 in 72 countries. And my older son is a consultant with a very, I think third most known consultancy firm in the world. So they both grew up with a very broad mind, with no qualms about following British culture or Indian culture. They love both, and I'm very happy and proud about that. I was interested in music right from the beginning. My mom used to sing, and my dad also sang, actually. However, they never allowed me to learn music as a lesson or dance, because in those days in India, girls were not allowed to perform on stage from any decent home, and that was the problem. So although they were very happy for me to learn at home, sing at home, be part of all the festival and sing there, but doing it a public performance was not allowed. But somehow within me, there was a hunger. There was this desire to do something in music, to do something in dance, for people to learn. I didn't learn, but they should learn. And I did learn in my later years, because my husband was also interested in music, and that's how SAPAK started, actually, because we both were interested. So we decided to travel to Bhavan in London, and it was a journey every Saturday. So we used to go to South Kensington, to the Bhavan, to learn, and then we come back. So after about 3 years, I said to my husband, why don't we invite the lecturer here, music teacher here in Swindon, and maybe other people will be interested, because there's nothing going on here as far as Indian music and dance are concerned. Nothing was happening. So he said, okay, try. So we asked our teacher, and to our surprise, she agreed. And so we started to advertise. I said to my friends and people I knew that we are going to get a teacher from London. Would you want to learn classical music? And they said, yes, that'd be a great idea. So that's how we started. We started only with 5 or 6 people. And then I went to the council, local Borough council, and said, well, would you give us some grant to extend, because there's nothing going on for the Asian music here, Indian music here in the town. So they gave me a grant, and that was great, because then we could have more people coming into the class. It sort of became a news. And then I got to the community foundation and said to them, would you give us some more money? Because we want to expand it. And then they said, okay, so they gave us money for music. And we started with dance as well. And that's how it started. And then I went to the Arts Council and said, look, this is the one place where nothing happens, and we're going to do something about that. And they were very interested. So they gave me money as well. So we had 3-4 grants from them, and that set up SAPAK. So then we had lots of performers here from all over the world, actually. I feel quite proud about that, actually, myself, because we had from America, we had from India, we had from Germany, all over the place. The performers came here and they performed. And people slowly and gradually became very interested. I believe that art is part of us, part of human beings. It's in our nature, it's in our biology. It's inside us. And if we want to excel in other areas as well, then art is also good. We feel complete when we are in either performing or listening. You can get lost in music. You can get rid of your worries, your sadness, your negative emotions can just fall away if you listen to music. You drown yourself into nice classical music or song, and it just takes away all your worries and emotions and sadness, and you become one with the nature. because the sound of music comes from nature. The first sound that ever originated from Himalayas was Om. Om can be sung in so many different ways, and people did sing it in so many different ways. And that was the start. So it's part of us, it's part of nature. That's why we like it. That's why it pleases us. That's why we dance with it, because it's just so much part of us. And that's why I was very, very keen on doing something for people they can just do in their own time. And with music is something that you never feel lonely. If you know music, if you listen to music, you're never lonely, you're never sad. You just begin to dance and thrive with it, be one with it. And so what better gift for people to have other than have music and dance. And dance is something that, you like because you can dance with it. It's part of your rhythm, And we just forget that instead of going with the strange things that happen in life and sadness and different pressures we have in life. There has to be some time in life, in your day, when you forget that, to keep your sanity, to make you feel happy, to make you feel part of nature. And so this is why I wanted to do it. There was nothing going on here in those days when I started. But now, if people can do it and they have woken up to it, that's good. That's great. We moved in it's a tiny little hamlet, only about 100 people live there. And it's called Latin. It's very near Cricklade and Cirencester or South Surney. Nothing goes there at all. Everybody is very peaceful. We were the first Asian family to move in there. And people were very kind of intrigued and surprised. And I remember when we first had our housewarming party, I invited friends from London as well. And they came and they were all, women were in saris. And this neighbor of ours, he stood outside in the garden and he just watched everyone going by and going, wow. And then later on, next day, as I was going for a walk, he stopped me. He said, my God, all those ladies look so beautiful in those saris. It was really wonderful to see them. And then we started to chat and became friends. And that's how it started. Now, everybody knows us now. And we feel part of that little hamlet now.
Yeah.
I've been there for so long now, I don't want to move even anywhere else.
You wouldn't want to move out,
No.
basically, yeah.
No, sadly, I lost my father before I had my first child. And my mom couldn't come. She wanted to come, but she was a doctor, and she just got so involved with after me leaving with family that she didn't have time to come over. So no, I didn't have my parents, but my husband's brother and his wife and children, they all came and to visit us. But a lot of them live abroad as well, some in America.